Okay, year 11, welcome to dot point 1. Talk about how Aboriginal spirituality is determined by the dreaming in relation to kingship, ceremonial life, and obligations to land and people. A quick refresher on what we mean about the dreaming. When we talk about the dreaming, it is a metatemporal concept, okay? It involves both the past, the present, and the future, but not in a linear way as we understand in the Western world. The past, the present, and the future are these circling realities that exist around and within and influence each other, but not in a time way that we understand in the Western world. The dreaming involves all knowledge and understanding in Aboriginal culture, incorporates all beliefs and practices. It is classified as a spirituality and not as a religion. Okay, so the influence of the dreaming is embedded in all aspects of Aboriginal life. These are the three aspects that we are going to look at: ceremonial life, kingship, and obligations to land and people. In relation to kingship, a refresher: kingship means the ties of complex systems of belonging and responsibilities within an Aboriginal tribe or clan. Kingship tells you who you are and how you're related to everyone around you. It is not just based on blood relations or familial relations. It is much more complex than that, and it governs the day-to-day life of Aboriginal people. Kingship ties also assign the responsibility of who is responsible for transmitting the dreaming stories from the older to the younger generations. People are initiated into the dreaming by different degrees according to their age and position in the community. So you find out more about your dreaming stories and your understanding as you grow older. And this process of acquiring an understanding of the dreaming is a lifelong pursuit. Okay. Now, I know you guys can talk a lot about the land, but here are the big ones. Land is the physical medium through which the dreaming is lived and communicated. It is a dwelling place for our ancestral beings. On the land are sacred sites which are hidden away from people, but upon which ceremonies occur, important ceremonies. Because the land is so connected to Aboriginal people, they not only have a responsibility for it, but it also forms part of their identity. They are inextricably linked to it. Therefore, because of all of these things, it provides the foundation for their beliefs, their traditions, their rituals, their laws, because the stories of the dreaming, where they've come from, where they are going, who they are, or how the world came to be, their purpose, it's all embedded physically within the land. The final aspect that you guys need to understand is ceremonial life, which is made up of art, totems, stories, and rituals. We'll start with art first. Art's a very important way of communicating the dreaming because it illustrates the actions of the ancestral beings in the land. Commonly, art and stories are used in conjunction with each other to talk about a dreaming story or to communicate some kind of idea of the dreaming. A reminder with art has many layers and there's multiple levels of meaning. And we talked about that last year, you might remember, with the Nglaru people and that sugar leaf dreaming story. The dreaming is primarily, though, expressed through story, and it's passed down orally, depending on the kingship ties. So there's so many different types of dreaming stories. There's origin dreaming stories, but it's also dreaming stories are used to pass on an idea about major life themes, so responsibilities, appropriate behaviour, things like that. In community, Aboriginal dreaming stories are a major way of teaching Aboriginal children about right and wrong. Obviously, for some of you, rituals would seem pretty self-explanatory. Well, rituals are just living out or retelling of a dreaming story. However, rituals for Aboriginal people are much more than that. Ceremonies and rituals celebrated on sacred sites aren't just retelling a story, but by engaging in a ritual on sacred sites, they are bringing ancestral beings and ideas into the present in an incredibly powerful and sacred way, through the words and their objects and the way that they interact. Aboriginal people believe that they're not just retelling, but through ceremonies and rituals on sacred sites, that is when the dreaming really happens and, the past, the present, and the future merge into one reality. The last idea is to do with totems. The totem, a reminder from last year, is the embodiment of each individual in his or her primordial state. Totems carry with them ceremonial responsibilities, commonly known as balance rights, and that is what we are going to have a look at in class. And that's it, guys. It's the first dot point.